I also have a chat window open in case anyone joins, but
Okay.
I don't think people are going to join my stream. But it's up now.
Well, excellent. Hopefully, we'll get some questions.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask you some questions.
Okay.
Were you on that call not even a week ago, June 5th, what was that? Just Friday, just a few days ago, with Judge Brazil on the LA Superior Court?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be on that call, but I did hear a little bit about what happened on the call. And these are very interesting times that we're going through with the court system, and it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, are you seeing dealing a lot with that right now? Like, I mean, the courts are closed, but I
Yes,
don't know.
I am. So the courts are kind of closed. They are doing what they can to get by without having people make actual appearances in court, which is very unusual. And for some, the courts are still open. And then it varies from court to court a little bit, county. So if you're Orange County, San Bernardino County, you've got very different rules than if you're in Los Angeles County. But eventually things are going to have to open back up, and it's going to be a very trying time for everybody involved. The courts, the judges, the defense attorneys, prosecutors, public defender's office. It's going to be it's like something we've never seen before.
It seems like it's going to last for a while, too.
I think it is going to last for a while. I think it's going to have repercussions, beginning in the criminal field where we have rights to speedy trials, or supposedly we have rights to speedy trials, and that will ripple out through other areas of law. And the court system has been through difficulties or trying times before, but nothing quite like this. I mean, the court has always been preparing itself for an earthquake, or if there's a fire or flood inside of a courthouse, where they can shift the resources and move courtrooms or courthouses to a different courthouse. There have been some courthouses that have been shuttered or closed over the years, and there may be ways to open those back up to handle it. The court has experience with mass protests and riots back in '92, and have always trained judges and courthouses how to handle a large volume of cases. But that was a week or a couple of weeks, nothing quite like this. And this is going to have a big effect with the protesters. They've really broken those up into different groups, and people who are peacefully protesting and getting arrested for just being on the street, violating a curfew, or taking a knee and peacefully protesting. Those court dates, if they are getting arrested, are being set way out. We're talking months. I've heard some cases being set 10 months down the road to try to lessen the burden of what's going on right now. But even once the criminal courts start to hear cases again, hearing cases isn't trying cases. And then once they start trying cases again, it's going to be a while before they can open up courthouses and courtrooms for other types of cases. Civil cases are going to get pushed down, and I think we'll see a lot of civil courtrooms where people are suing one another for an auto accident or something like that get pushed back, and those courtrooms will handle criminal cases to try to clear out the docket. So I think they're working on plans, but right now, my cases, they just keep getting pushed back.
Oh, that's crazy. And are those for arraignments? Because the arraignments have to be done statutorily or constitutionally, right?
So a lot of the arrests that have been made have been for misdemeanor violations, and they have a year to file on the misdemeanor matters. So the arraignments can be set out that far. I
Oh,
think
okay.
in reality, a lot of those cases are not going to be filed. And I think it's important that people know the distinction. If you have somebody who's looting and rioting, those cases are being handled very differently than a peaceful protester or someone who's just taking a knee and not refusing to leave. The serious felony matters, the arsons and the looting, those people are being, where they can be taken into custody and held, and they're going to have different speedy trial rights because they're going to be in custody unless they post bail. But it's a very trying time, and it's very concerning to see what's going on in the community.
Yeah. The looting is going to be a felony no matter what, right? That's not like there's no such thing
Yeah.
as petty looting for just stealing
No,
a pair of
and
vans.
right, and I think it's very important to be able to make that distinction and understand what a protester, an activist is doing versus someone who's just taking advantage of the situation, and they are going to be treated very, very differently. I don't think, this is my personal opinion, I don't think with the misdemeanor, uh, you know, peaceful protest, however the people are detained or taken into custody, I don't think we're going to see very many of those cases filed at all. I don't think the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, who's handling the misdemeanors in the city of Los Angeles, is actually going to spend the resources to prosecute and go after a lot of those people, unless there were more serious charges along with it. If there was, resisting, obstructing charges, then maybe. And then it's important to make a distinction on, what that person wants. If they come to a defense attorney and they have an arraignment date, whether that's in a couple of weeks or whether that's in a couple of months, does that person want to continue their advocacy and to make a point in the system and fight the case in court, or do they want it to go away? A lot of people right now want to be heard, and that's very important. The question is, if they set an arraignment date that's 10 months down the road, is that person still want to, fight the system? Maybe yes, maybe no. And how a defense attorney is going to handle the case is going to be very different if they're looking to, continue the conversation and be making a point and be heard, or whether they want to get back to work and they don't want a criminal record. The attorney is going to have to figure out what the client wants and serve the client's needs best they can. And it'll be interesting to see, how many of which type of person we have.
Yeah. Have you started getting calls yet, or it's not quite yet?
Not really. I haven't. I've had some inquiries for information, just general information about what's going on and what to do if this happens or that happens. But as far as seeing people actually being charged with the crimes, because if someone is arrested, they're detained, they're booked, and they're given a court date, and that court date's not for months, they may not be looking to get an attorney right now.
Right.
And I would probably advise, if charges have not been filed, they may not really need an attorney right now, because I don't want people spending money for something that they don't need.
Yeah, I'd imagine that the most frequent issue are going to be, it's probably going to be curfew, people out after curfew, or just people in the wrong place at the wrong time. What is
the curfew violations? They're not that many.
Yeah. Is there do they even have a right? I don't know if you know this answer. I've been wondering about the government's right to cite people for breaking curfew or for breaking a stay-at-home order. Just related to COVID.
Yeah. So, like I said, I haven't seen the charges, and the government has an obligation, at least we would hope, to protect the citizens. And in some cases, putting in place a curfew to keep an area safe is necessary. I think the governor or a mayor can issue certain orders. But yeah, at what point does the contact, violate the Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment? So
yeah. But you're probably seeing a lot fewer since COVID, a lot fewer DUIs.
Yes, I have seen, and when the numbers go down on driving under the influence cases, I'm always happy with that. I think that people do go out and get into trouble, but if they close the restaurants, they close the bars, and people aren't out drinking until 2 a.m., there's going to be a lot fewer driving under the influence cases. There still are some going on. Concerned that we may see an uptick in driving under the influence cases in the future. I think when restaurants and bars start to open back up, which we do have some now, depending on where you are, peak Uber and Lyft, being concerned about riding in somebody else's car and having that contact, that we could see people getting back and continuing with the ride sharing services, which we've seen a lot of in the last few years.
That's a good point.
With people, yeah. Yeah, I mean, for everything that happens, everything that's going on in the community right now, there are consequences, and I think people don't know what they are yet. They don't think about them. I'm very concerned with the especially large protests. We've had some in Los Angeles in the thousands or maybe even tens of thousands, and